Have you ever been victimized by New Age spirituality?
We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting.
You're gonna want to listen up.
I'm Megan, an intuitive life coach and Reiki master.
I'm Ryan, a professional astrologer, and we want to show you what spirituality is by talking about what it is not.
Con artist.
Yes.
Snake oil salesman.
There are so many susceptible people out there.
And then they're tainted. They're ruined. They don't want to come back to spirituality.
We still have a lot to learn, and we will humble ourselves and learn, I think, every freaking day. This is Claire Annoyance,
a podcast of spiritual interference.
Oh my God, we're back. I'm so excited for today's talk. It's going to be so fun. Megan, when was the last time that you had a tarot reading?
You.
Oh my God.
Like, what was it? What was that date that like in April where it was like the big deal? And I had you, like, it was that big astrological.
Oh, yeah. Jupiter, Neptune.
Yeah.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had you do like I think you did like a 6-card spread.
Oh my God, wild. I don't even remember that. But good. That's crazy.
What about you? When was your last?
It was actually like a week or two ago. I did an exchange with someone.
I was about to say, was it with our guest?
No. Oh no. It was with someone else. Although I've had our guest read for me, and good God, so good. I love getting everybody's like styles and I like playing around with different readers and just like booking randos even. It's rare that I have a reading that I'm like super just unfulfilled with, honestly. But maybe that's just me.
I feel like you do your due diligence, though. Even if it's someone you come across on TikTok or Instagram, like you watch them. It's not someone who's like, I bought a deck today.
Right.
I'm a professional.
No. I would never book someone based off of their TikTok account. I'll just say that. If you want me to book you, I better not see you on TikTok.
Come with the skills.
As I'm trying to build my TikTok account right now. God. Okay, well, so if you haven't already guessed, dear listeners, we are talking tarot today, and we have a guest. So excited to introduce you to Anna Toonk, who you maybe already know because Anna is like this spiritual entrepreneur empress card.
Empress.
Just like, I don't, maybe you hate that card, Anna. I don't know, but please introduce yourself, let everybody know what you're up to, and say hey.
I love being introduced or likened to the Empress card. I'll take it. Okay. A card about creativity and abundance. Like, yes. I'll take that. Maybe a little less into the mommy vibes of it.
For sure. Maybe
I'll
not
rebuke
pregnant.
those. I'd say no, thank you to that. But I will take the creativity and abundance from it. What am I? It's funny. I'm getting ready to go to Italy for a month for like, I'm calling it like my midlife crisis. That if you're going to be having a midlife crisis, you might as well be in Italy.
Are you in it? I'm going to pull up your birth chart. I usually do this for people too.
Well, it's been like a 5-year one. So well, I don't know that it is. I just think that's what I think I'm. Well, it's funny because I was a television producer for many, many moons. And then I went into tarot and got really into spirituality, have done a million things, and have gotten to this point where I think the first like 5 years of my tarot career were just so insane that I've finally gotten to a point where I'm just like, what do I want to do next?
Nice.
And when I was thinking I would go back to school to be a therapist, and my own therapist was like, listen, you'd probably be a great one. That's totally fine. However, like I talk to you every week, and I'm a little concerned because some of the stuff you're seeking, I don't think this is going to give you. And what a blessing that was, because I was like, she's right. But I think it's so funny because recently I just happened to have run into people or a really sweet server at a restaurant I was at the other day was like, did I ever hear you're into tarot? Like, I really like it. And she's like, I thought about being a therapist, and I'm like, I love all of us that don't want to go back to school or like tarot. That seems to be this like way to combine these things of like, I'm interested in feelings and archetypes and symbolism, but school, not so much, you know,
Right.
like, so it offers this different pathway of working with people. But
so I
love
was
it.
Listening to your podcast, and what was interesting to me is like you were established in your career, and then you said that Tro just like blew your life up, and I thought that was such a beautiful like explanation. So I want to hear more about that, because like to blow your life up,
it truly exploded my life. That is like, I had been in television at that point, gosh, I guess 15 years, you know, like had it like a legit like a very real career, you know, like not to, I mean, I'm not trying to be braggy about it. I'm more mean it just as a like,
toot your horn. We toot here, toot, toot.
Yeah, but it also just more like giving context of how out of left field it was, in the sense of I was like overseeing on-air design for a network. Like, I mean, it was like doing a pretty mega job, you know, and felt really stuck. And then, you know, had just sort of gone through some shit and felt really, really, really stuck more than anything. And went for a tarot reading with Rachel from Small Spells, and was like, whoa, like this is cool. Like, I don't really know what this is. And then I had a reading with Lindsay Mack, and I was like, do you teach this? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, I think I'm supposed to learn. It was it's funny because Ryan, like when you sent over questions, it's funny. There is one deck that I don't like, and I hopefully I can answer this like out of order.
Yeah.
The first deck I got was the Wild Unknown, which, yes, you can buy your own deck. That's like an old gatekeeping thing that you have to be gifted one. You can buy your own deck. So I got the Wild Unknown because it was like everywhere at that time, you know, like tarot had arrived at Urban Outfitters. Right. So it was now like coming to the masses in a weird way. Like, and I mean, I like the Wild Unknown deck, like did not speak to me. It was
same,
like
honestly.
Static.
Same. And it's still such a huge deck. Like people still love the crap out of it. It doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. And I think that's fine. Like, I love the idea of like, you know, the chick as the fool. Like there's a lot of beautiful things to it. Like,
great colors. Very
great
vibrant.
Colors.
Like...
Yeah. It's interesting though. Like you can tell it was like channeled and done by an artist and not a tarot reader, which I think is interesting. Like I love all these modern decks and stuff, but like if you're a reader
too, like modern decks, like, cause I got into it through Oracle, you know,
I've
never had a traditional deck.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I've got like all these alternative decks. So then listening to you, I was like, damn, I need like an OG. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, so I mean, because tarot is a 78 card system. So I think it is helpful. Like, I went to art school. Like, I come very much from this, like the tradition I'm raised in, and like where I come from is like, learn how everybody does it, like learn how it's done, then do it however you want, you know, and
respect the foundation. I love that.
Yeah. And just to like know the system you're operating within, you know, it's like you wouldn't go to astrology and then be like, I'm going to make up new planets, you know, like you would learn the planets. And yet people come to tarot and are like, I'm just going to make up some new cards, you know, and it's like, that's cool, but maybe know what the energy of them is. Like, what were they speaking to? What is the purpose of it? You know, like,
yeah. I was actually going to
why?
say, do you have any decks? This is not a question that we previously
we've gone rogue.
We've definitely gone very rogue. We're going to back it up in a minute. But like, do you have any decks where they've created new cards and you like it? I have one that I actually do like.
It's funny. It's like I like it in this is an old deck, but the Toth deck, I like that strength is lust, I think.
I see.
Which I think is nice. Like there's definitely decks that I like it in, you know, like this was something I had to learn too. Like Serpent Fire, for example, she has a deck and it is very sexy Rexy, you know. And I mean, she has this thing on like a Six of Cups where it's like it's something very like orgasmic and blah, blah, blah. And the Six of Cups is not that to me, is not that energy. However, in her deck, it is. And that's when I learned, like, if we're talking about the language of tarot, I think we have to be talking about the Rider-Waite, unfortunately, even though it's very heteronormative, it's very, white, but it is what defines the language of when we're talking about, like the major and the minor arcana and things like that. And then every other deck in a lot of ways, or independent decks or things like that, I think are dialects. And it's like, you've got to learn what that dialect is. I like the card. I just want to know why you made it. I want to be able to connect to it, And sometimes it just feels like ego, or it feels like I just wanted to, or a lot of people, and I get it. You're a really talented artist. I'd make a lot more too.
Yeah.
Like I would want to express myself as well. But if I can't connect to it, then it just feels superfluous,
I would not have thought that it was from Italy, or that it originated from Italy.
Yeah, I think, it's funny. I think we all want it to be more mysterious than it is. And I get that, like when I first came to it, I was like, yes, where did it come from? Is it from Egypt? Is it from, like
it was found with the emerald tablets.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I love it. I love anything shiny, like that was very seductive. But no, it was a game. It was a game that was played in the 1400s. And like a lot of the reason why we don't totally know is like they were hand painted. So cards, they're destroyed. They're lost. So it's not so much that they're buried, next to the pyramids, these original decks, or they're, in mummies and things like that. And it's like, no, we just didn't have a printing press yet. So these were hand created and therefore didn't survive,
Right. That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah. To back up a little bit, one, do you know proper pronunciation of this word that is the name of our episode, even like tarot? Because Megan says tarot. I say tarot.
Well, I mean, I'm from the South, and it cracks me up that people, not really so much my family and stuff, but some of my friends are like, you read the tarots? And I was like, it doesn't rhyme with carrots. Like that, I'm
in
positive
Charleston, South Carolina, and that's how, like tarot. So I heard tarot, and I was like, okay, and I can't stop saying it now, like tarot.
I think a lot of the people who say tarot are just taking more of a European pronunciation. I don't think there's a right or wrong from my, from what I've heard around, the tarot way, but.
Got it.
Anytime I say tarot, though, I feel, I like second, I feel like I'm like, am I pulling this off? When I do it. Whereas
that's
when
why
someone else says
I gotta come correct here. Like I can't be speaking to a tarot wizard and like be mispronouncing how to say this.
It cracks me up, but like anytime someone else says it, I'm like, oh, like I sounds so fancy. But yeah, I think it depends. I think it's more of a regional thing.
Interesting. So just, we've already gone pretty deep into talking about this, and I'm sure most people kind of have a general understanding of what tarot is, but if you had to, in a nutshell, kind of just like define what is tarot, how do you use it?
It's funny. I've been working on this definition for like 10 years and still haven't quite figured it out. My friend Bakara, though, I appreciate that she's like, she has like a bit the scientific of like, it's a 78 card system, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, and magic. Like, I don't know how it works. And so it's, like it's so.
That's all I need. I'm sure people listening, it's like magic. Yes.
Because like I'm a highly pragmatic person, and yet I'll be like, it'll be so crazy for me sometimes, like when a friend's like, oh, I keep pulling the Empress, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, and I'll be like curious. I'll be like, let me see what I pull for you. And then I pull the Empress, and I'm like, explain that, like, I don't know what card the Empress is when I'm shuffling. Like,
what
that's
if you're
weird.
A bad shuffler? Like, I'm a horrible shuffler.
I'm a terrible shuffler.
I've got small
I love
hands. Okay,
yeah,
like
same.
I don't, like so that has no, because you see
it doesn't.
people.
there's obviously an element of showmanship. Like if everyone I think wants, but I think it's also just because like that feels cool, like
Not
I
cool.
think a bit like, people are disappointed when I show up for events and I don't like appear in a fog of smoke, like and have an owl on my shoulder that I'm just
I
like
put
a
it on.
person. I'm sure you do. That's so you. Yeah. Like you, like that's, I mean, like, perfect for like whoever wants to do that. And I'm like, hi, I'm Anna, like, and they're like, oh, and I was like, did you think I was going to like Stevie Nicks my way? Like just like the wild wing, like
no, I
set
love
up my
that
space.
too,
But so it's a card system though, in its simplest form. And it's divided into the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the word arcana means mystery. And so it's the big mysteries and the little mysteries. And then the majors are big boys. There are big themes there. We have the three lines of consciousness that is taking us through different kind of parts of the major arcana, dividing the cards into these like three different lines of kind of what our hero's journey, aka the fool's journey, is through the arcana. So the idea being that all of us have every single card inside of us or experience every single card within the arcana. We are all the fool. We are all going through this journey. We're all having the lessons of these things. And when we get to the world, we complete a lesson and we begin it all over again. So the majors are the big things about like what movies are about. It's our triumphs, it's love, it's career, it's all the big stuff. It's our soul's journey, all that big stuff. And then the minors are divided into 4 suits that also have elemental components to them as well. And those give us our info. Those are our cast of characters. That's our supporting cast that's filling in the picture for us. So you may come to me, Ryan goes, I'm going through a big period of transformation. And Ryan might think it's about his creativity. And I pull some cards and I go, oh shit, it's judgment, some pentacles. Like, no, it's not about that. Like it's bigger, more about you stepping into your soul's purpose and figuring out how to marry that with your work. Like the major is going to tell me what's really the story or what's the big pole of focus in your life in this moment, and then where is it sort of playing out will be, I think, filled in by the majors or minors ideally.
What a good way to put it.
And we're not predicting. I don't do predictive, and that's another thing too. Like there's different ways to read. That there are people who are purely card theorists. They're like, oh, this card is by this card, which means this, and da 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 da. Like they're very, it's only the cards, it's only the meanings.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who are intuitive readers. They, I would say, maybe go a little like little off the cards. They're the ones who are like, I see that
somebody's watching you.
Well, they're like, I see that paved road and I'm going to go off road a little bit, like I think that. And then there are people who are, I would say the third is readers who combine both, that it's card theory and it's maybe channeled and intuitive.
Is that what you are? That's what I feel like. Yeah, I feel like you would be, a blend. So when do people need to should you do this once a week, once a month? Like when you're going through transition, like what's your client base look like?
I mean, it depends. I'm strict. I will cut you off. Like people who are coming to me too often, because I will cut you off. Yeah, no. I mean, that probably is also why I go to therapy, but it's maybe not totally a work thing, but
well, people get addicted because they'll be they'll seek answers outside of themselves.
Yep.
They won't trust their own judgment. So I appreciate that. That's good. I mean, that's good boundaries. It's ethical.
I'm for the most part, I strive. I mean, like I'm annoyingly ethical. Like, I mean, I'm like, I'm not that good a person. However, my ethics are very strong. I'm like, I can be just as goblin-y as the rest. It's like, lucky for me, I'm like, I just find it really annoying. This person wants to book a reading for every decision in their life. And it's unethical. They're developing a dependency on me that I'm not cool with. And it's not how tarot works. Tarot's always going to work best from a position of self-empowerment. Tarot doesn't want to tell you how to run your life. It doesn't. So I would say the best time to come, honestly, is when nothing's wrong. When everything's fine, but you're just like, maybe you're like, I don't, like maybe you're just sort of like, I don't know.
I think it'd
I'm
be a good,
okay. I'm
sounds like
not.
it's a good foundation. Like you get a good base for what it is instead of applying desperation. Because most people come to spirituality in that spot of, I need an answer.
Yes.
Like I'm broken. So I love that. Like just arrive, see what's up.
People have some of the best readings when they're literally are like, I'm just doing a check-in. Like it's been 3 months. I felt due, like I think the best readings is like to do it quarterly. Like, to be honest, I think you get the most out of it. And I also tell people too, sometimes, like, if you have a very specific answer in mind, don't do it,
No.
and never about breakups. Like I always say, like, as long as heterosexuality is a thing, I'll have a career, because it's like it is straight men who come in, I do actually have a fair amount of straight clients, or straight male clients, which does surprise people. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's mostly people I met at events who their ladies made them get a reading, and then they were like, "Oh shit, this is cool. It's helpful," But
you always have to provide the Carfax for dudes, especially like cis white men. Like you come with the Carfax. Like, here's the history. Here's this. Here's my accreditations.
Well, not annoying. Even. I think they're like shocked when they're like, "Do you really believe in this?" When I'm like, "How does this go?" That I'm like being paid at a party, and I go, "No," like you like you're the one who's gonna out me. Like, it's just, and then they're like, fair. You're like, you got me there. And then they're like, well, how's this work? And I'm like, well, you ask a question. I think that tarot always works best when you are, I think, taking maybe accountability and ownership, even asking a question, like that's something too. I find people really get hung up on or don't want to do, where they're like, I just like to pull a card. Well, then what do you really know what that card is speaking to? Like I used
That's
to teach
great for someone who doesn't know, like who's looking to book, like to have a specific question in mind.
Well, and like part of why, like, to the first question you had for me, Megan, like it's about it exploding my career. Like, that's tarot. Like, if you don't want to ask a question, tarot's like, why not? What you afraid of? What you avoiding? Like it is this, it's like this go deeper, like ask, like you really want to know, like we'll tell you, like, and that's what also gets so much projected on when people are like, that deck's mean to me or whatever. It's like, no, it told you something you didn't want to hear, like, which is a different thing. Like, but also why you want to be really mindful of who you're going to readings for multiple reasons, like.
So how does someone find, obviously we all have intuition, like I like that person, or like, how does someone like, I'm going to book with you, Anna? Like, how does one decide that? I
think it's helpful, like word of mouth. I think ask around, even if people aren't talking about it, one of your friends is definitely getting readings. People are so weird about it, but every friend group has someone who's got a psychic, reader, astrologer, like in their back pocket. So I would ask your friend group and just be like, has anyone ever gotten a tarot reading? Or everyone, like somebody will, number one, or you could at least hear about their experience or whatever. I do think social media is helpful. However, big old caveat, just because someone's internet famous or Instagram famous or whatever doesn't mean they're a good reader. So listen to them, see if you resonate with it, like trust how it feels inside. That just like you wouldn't, like, even if someone was like the best cardiologist in the world, if they gave you the worst vibe, I'm guessing you would find another one. And like a reader should be no different. If you don't connect with them, or you're like, I don't know why they make me feel insecure or something, like trust that. I know a lot of people who've had negative experiences just because somebody was like really popular or whatever. I mean, it's like walking a fine line. Like, like I get a lot of people, like, or I not so much anymore, but I used to get like DMs or like, I would trust that too. Like people who work the way that you want to work with people. Like, I don't want to DM you to get an appointment. I want to book on your website. You know, like I think trust all of that, just like you would any other practitioner. This is no different, you know. And if you have a question or you're like, hey, I was just curious, what sort of style do you read in? Are you, you know, like more theoretical, or are you intuitive? Like they should have no problems answering that, or you should be able to ascertain that by like their website or their social presence. Something should give you a clue of like, what are they about? Like, what do they deliver? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. A lot of what sells is a fantasy, and you have to do your due diligence of asking, is that what I want? You know, sometimes, I mean, listen, we've all dated someone or been in a situation where we wanted to stay living next to denial. And
ouch. Ouch.
I mean,
I was about to say, I don't want to say it.
I didn't even need a card for that.
We've all been there. And, you know, like, I think sometimes that's when certain readers can benefit you by, like, I mean, just like, you would all different kind of practitioners. Like I know sometimes when I'm feeling like tender about something, or I like know it's not good but I want to stay in it, like there's different readers I would go to who are going to be softer in their approach of how they go, like, you know, this is a bad idea, or you know, this isn't serving you, you know, like versus other readers that would be like, what are you doing, you know, like in all of that. Like I think it's knowing that, because I think people can be unfair in the way they come to readers with their expectations. And they want to act like a reader is a therapist, or they want to act like a reader is your mom or something like this. And it's like, it's not what I am. There's no guarantees. That's what's unfortunate. If you come with a really specific, like, I want to know I'm going to get this job, or, you know, my ex is going to come back or whatever, like, you need to just, I don't know, pray. Like you don't need to go get a reading. Like it's putting everybody in a bad spot. It's putting yourself, it's a setup.
Everyone's gonna get disappointed. You know? Like, you know, so you're gonna feel that weren't able to deliver, you know, to your client. They're gonna feel, you know, a certain type of way.
I'm really glad you said that, because tarot also, one of the biggest things that it taught me was how to disappoint people and like be okay with it.
Yes, and to be okay with
it.
I
mean, not okay. I mean, okay-ish, okay light, you know, because it still sucks, you know, and it's really confusing. It's so confusing.
Feelings, though, you know, like what are your expectations of if you go to any healer or any, you know, like you have to mitigate your expectations, and are they realistic for what you're trying? Like, you have 30 minutes or an hour with a stranger.
People want you to undo a lifetime of trauma in one reading. Ryan, I'm curious if you experience this in astrology. I'm sure this happens where someone books a reading with you and maybe they say nothing about what they want to focus on. You know, like they're just like,
all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
They're like, heard great things, but then they're like, oh, well, I really wanted this to be a year for love. And you're like, well, that wasn't the agreement, or like, that's not what your chart, like, I find that is really tricky, because I feel for people. We all get that. And we all have those feelings of like, I want this to be my year for the, you know, it's like,
the keyword being, I want,
yeah.
you know, like that's not like,
yeah.
Like, when it's like I literally just had somebody who was focused on this, and it actually wasn't the first and only negative review that I've ever received, which is me learning that lesson of disappointment right now. And it hurt. It sucked.
It sucks.
And
you know what also makes me so mad is I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong.
No,
that wasn't a bad reading. Just because you didn't hear what you wanted to hear doesn't mean I gave you a bad reading.
Exactly. And she gave me no indication during the whole reading. I always leave time at the end to ask, how do you feel? Is this okay? And she said she felt good. And then I get this huge email, and it was like scathing. It was like harsh. It was so hurtful. But I mean, it's just frustrating, because I even watched the reading back. I record all my readings. I was like, was I harsh? And she really did want love. And I referenced numerous times in here, like, love is not the focus. That does not mean it cannot happen. though. Like, and oftentimes those things do happen when love isn't the concentrated, energetic theme in your chart right now. When it is focused on love, that often sometimes means you're going to deal with some serious challenges in that area of life, but it's not a focus, which means it could just flow smoothly for all I know. But the universe would like you to focus here a little bit more consciously right now. But they latch on to certain things.
That's desperation energy. And so when you are like, you know, like, you didn't do anything wrong, that annoys me.
Yeah.
I
know.
It feels also so parallel with like what we're seeing politically, where someone's like, you know, science works, and someone's like, I'm going to go with what my brain told me, you know, and it's like,
imagine being a regular ass person and thinking that you like, that you a regular ass person and you know more than Harvard.
I'm a pretty smart person, and yet I like enjoyed reading what all the people smarter than me had to say about these things, you know, like divide and conquer. Like that seems to have served a lot of us well. And yet it'll amaze me sometimes, this dynamic that plays out in readings where people come to you and they're like, you're the expert, I want to know what you like. But then if you don't say what they want to hear, they invalidate you. And now, you know, they're like, well, my intuition's telling me that this is a year for my love. And I'm like, well, then why did we do this? Like, what is this dance we have just done?
I know.
So what annoys you? Like, is that like, so what annoys you about your profession? What annoys you about like,
Megan, how much time do you have? So much. Honestly, it's people. You know, like I love tarot and I love reading, but the business aspect of it is hard. It's hard getting constant DMs of people and being like, could you book
follow
me
her on Instagram, guys? Follow her on Instagram.
By all means, follow me on
her website.
Yeah, by all means, follow me on Instagram, and for sure, like buckle up for some real, you know, clownery over there. But yeah, I think the constant boundary stuff burns me out big time. You know, I just get sick of it. And I also think like something that I haven't been able to like figure out is that a lot of people mean well. They have they truly do. They are trying to be good. They just don't know that you deal with this like 300 times a week.
Exactly.
Like friends are also some of the worst clients.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
Friends are like, let's go to the farmer's market, and then after you give me reading, and I'm like, no, you know, like that's not how I work. Or, you know, people being like, I thought it would be fun that you could like come to the park.
Wrong. You thought wrong, and also, you know, like I'm gonna charge you for my time for wasting it. Here's a Venmo.
And I mean, I genuinely really like people and I really like my clients. I'm lucky that I would say like 98% of my clients are incredible. And that other 2% I've banned, you know, so they can't come back. So I'll just stay at 98. But I find that people too can get really fixated on me sometimes and wanting to be friends. And that can be
so likable. You are everyone
very
here
likable.
is so likable. So you have this, you know, like where it's like, hey, buddy, and that's a boundary thing. And boundaries are exhausting in any feeling demographic.
Yeah, that's been something I've been trying to figure out because I want to be likable. I mean, that's my personality. I'm not putting it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I haven't been able to figure out where the line between like being likable, friendly, approachable, and like free for all is. Because I'm sure you must deal with this as well, Ryan. Because like, I feel like you and I are similar in that temperament of like, we'd love to talk about this stuff. We're open. I'm happy to give people resources if I can. But like, it was interesting when the spirituality episode of How to Be Human came out, and I got all these DMs from people, and I wonder if this is a generational thing. All these DMs from people being like, really loved the episode, but you know, like, and then giving me their personal story and then asking me for more resources. And I was tempted to be like,
call Google. Dr. Google.
Thank you. Like that. I mean, that's me. And that's where I'm now starting to feel like a boomer where I just yell Google all the time. But like, but I just was like, that the episode was the resource. You're welcome.
Right.
You know, like you can follow our Substack where we gave more resources, or you can do, you know, but like, I'm like, is this a generational divide where like I grew up, like we grew up having to seek every piece of information. You had to go to the library. You had to really be in pursuit of everything. Yeah. And then the internet came and we were like, oh my God, this thing that makes this seeking of information easier. And the youth has grown up with the information always at their fingertips, but they don't seem to know how to access it. And that I find fascinating. I'm like, you have all of it. Thinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you resonate with in the episode? Like, Google that. If you're like, Anna's always sort of talking about watered down Buddhism, like a typical white chick, like go Google Buddhism, go to the people who are smarter than my terrible paraphrasing of beliefs, that's what's interesting to me. And I don't really mean it as a criticism. I mean it more as like, this is the stuff that makes me crazy.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that burns me out that I don't understand about like how the field is changing.
Totally. I feel like there's like a lack of there's the curiosity there, but yeah, that lack of like ability to be inquisitive enough to go seek things for yourself and instead kind of expect, well, I should be able to throw this question out to this quote unquote influencer who's got this digital. Yeah. And like, I get it. Like, I don't know. I see on TikTok, like one thing I really do appreciate is that a lot of people that I enjoy, like some astrologers on TikTok who I think are valid, they'll get questions all the time of like followers being like, do you have book recommendations? They get this all the time. And it is like, it's like, yeah, I could Google astrology books, but I like your style. I like your vibe. What are you reading? That is like an important question to throw out, but these people are smart to be like, I've made a little playlist on my TikTok of all the books that I am reading, or like on Instagram, you could literally just do like a highlights reel and then point people to that and be like, I got my resources and the highlights, I
agree. But why do we have to do that?
No, we don't have to.
I know. Sure. I mean, but I think the expectation has become, to combat this thing, make a highlight. And I'm like, but why?
I just wonder if I'm abrasive because I'm like, figure it out. I
feel the same way. I mean, I love that we're like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Figure it out. We all had to do it. Like, it's trial and error. Like, how are you supposed to know what you like? And you're not gonna imitate me. Be yourself. Like, so figure it out.
I do think though that, I mean, it's helpful to have, this is where it gets frustrating. I think like what people don't know is that seeking out the information, resources, teachers, all of that is part of the process. And even if all of us gave you like our spiritual academies, we're like, this is what I put myself through here, go put yourself through it. It wouldn't necessarily work. You wouldn't necessarily be like us. You wouldn't necessarily maybe get interested in tarot or interested. Like, I think there's this real hesitancy and fear to really just embrace the mess. And that is one of the greatest things that I think spirituality gives us, is this safe environment to sort of explore kind of like what life is in this, kind of, way with guardrails of sort of like, we're dealing with the same things, but it's essentially sort of like exploring what is a system that makes life make sense to you. What gives you a framework for finding, meaning and a reason to keep getting up and doing your life every day, that aside from like people in a way, I think, that for it's like in a larger sense and yourself, like how do you stay connected to that? But no, people are like, I just want to like watch this.
How do you deal with like the fear? So in that episode I listened to that I keep referencing, which is amazing, but like I grew up Catholic, so that's why I took like
same.
So Tarot was like, oh
yeah.
And what you said was like, oh, I loved it because of the imagery, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But my aspect was like, bitch, you better not fuck with this or you did, and so it took me a minute to get there. Like when I was coming on this journey and, like you're a healer and, I'm a Reiki master and yada, yada, yada. But it was like, I had to rectify this fear aspect that you just were like, woo woo.
I don't
completely blew past.
I think
I loved
like,
it.
I grew up in like such a bizarre way. I mean, and also like religion was like present in my house, but like my mom's an artist, like, it is kind of a joke, so I mean, like, I don't mean that like, I guess in a good way. Like I got the Catholicism where I was like, oh, I love ritual and I like the incense, like I I think this like it's kind of romantic in a
juice.
weird way. Yeah, like I love a ceremony and like like all of this, but like without all the terror, guilt, and homophobia. Like it's I don't know, like I don't ever remember being at mass and like scared or anything. And I don't remember like I had a Ouija board growing up and my mom didn't think twice about it. And she was like, my mom's more judgmental in in her way of being in an Aquarius of like, I can't believe you actually think these things talk to you. She's more like that than thinking the devil's coming, but like, she makes a joke about it. Like she sent me like my Easter gift and was like, for my little heathen, and stuff. I mean, so that's like my reference for it. But I also like it's one and the same to me in so many ways of like, what is the difference between stained glass and tarot cards? What is the difference? They are decorated objects we are telling a story with. What is the difference? Why is one demonized and the other isn't? Like,
oh my God.
It's just the same thing to me. Like,
it's so true. And sacred symbology, that's the right word, right?
Symbolism?
But isn't symbology like the actual study of symbols? Symbology? I think that's the word.
Maybe. I always think symbology is made up. And I go, I think you mean, this is literally what I say to myself. Every time I'm going to say, I think
symbology. Yeah. I feel like it's an actual anyway, I like geek out on that. We should get a symbologist.
Please do.
We should. Is that the word?
Symbology is a real word. It's the study or use of symbols. So
thank you. Oh my God. Now I know peace because I always think I'm making it up as well. I'm glad we know.
Well, and it's like the symbols that were on these Catholic churches, like up until just like 200 years ago, even are wild, and like where they come from, like pagan holidays and all this stuff.
It's all pagan.
It is all pagan.
It's
like
all
this is
pagan.
This is a whole different episode that we'll get into.
Fair. Yeah,
but
fair.
Yeah, it's wild. But I guess speaking to the symbols for sure, are there like any like symbols that you really adhere to? Like, for example, one thing that has always stuck with me, and I cannot remember who taught me this because I've been like into tarot since I was a child. Honestly, I had like the little pocket tarot cards,
That's
like it was
so
a
cute.
joke then, but like I just have consumed that content for a long time, I guess. But I always learned like in different decks. I'm such a Gemini, so I have like a million decks, and we'll use a million decks in any reading. And I love like the elements, whether cups, wands, whatever, and where they're holding them, like relating it to the chakra. And then like if it's like a crown, right? Or like holding the sword at their heart chakra, like, and what does that mean? I know that that's a weird thing, but that's a symbolism in the cards that just speaks to me for some reason. Is there something that you really think you look at?
Yeah, I always look at who's looking at who. It like in a spread, like if there's quartz, are they looking at each other? Where's the motion? Is there any motion? Things like that. I mean, it's funny, like now at this point, because I've been reading for a while, it's like I don't read as formulaic or maybe strictly as I used to, that I'm like, oh yeah, I used to be more into that, and now I think it's like I'm just more seasoned that it's like I see it and it's like, oh, I have the snapshot, like I know the story in a way, that I think I just process that stuff differently now. But like the symbolism is so important, like, and to that point, like in what you were saying about like, where is it being held, the chakra, like I don't know that I would say that's a tarot thing. I think that's a Ryan thing.
It's not,
which is but that's beautiful. And I would offer to anyone, if you're learning tarot or whatever, like that's completely valid. Like, just like I said, like if we think of Rider-Waite as being the language of tarot, and then any other deck is dialect, it's like that's Ryan dialect right there. That is absolutely critical, like in your reading. That's what makes a great reader, is that they have that, but it's also giving yourself, I think, permission to really believe it and trust it and go with it, and then be really consistent about it in your readings of like, I am, like I really connect to this like position of, like if something is being held, where is it? So apply that to every reading, I think about that. I think more about I think the suits in general, that I'll just be sort of like, who's dominating or who's missing exactly, you know, and things like that, then maybe symbolism. But I think more about, I think symbolism just in my life in general, you know, just very driven towards it, you know, just very a friend of mine, Iruka, who will do custom herbal essences and formulas for you and things like that. I love in her intake, she asks like any recurring symbols, objects, animals, totem, like any of that. I'm like, oh, I love it. Yes, you know, like let me list them all out for you, girl. Like the stuff I've been clocking, you know, and I go through different phases, I feel like, where you're just like, I just can't get enough of triangles. Like I don't even care what it symbolizes. Like I just know that it's something for me or whatever. But I mean, 100% tarot got me like hook, line, and sinker with symbolism. I was and just visual imagery. Like, I mean, like to use that the stained glass again. I mean, most people in medieval times, and when the Catholic Church was really trying to like take hold, or when organized religion really was, no one could read. So the way they communicated and the way they you know, were keeping everyone sort of in line via religion was saying like a red rose symbolizes this, a white dove symbolizes this, you know, like, and I mean, it sucks that religion is somewhere where that's hugely been done and thought out, but like we also see it, like I live in New York, we see it in cities, like symbolism to say this means this is powerful. Like that's why we're not all getting hit by cars all the time, just crossing the street whenever we feel like it, you know. That I'm like, there's something you can't deny about that I find so. That was how tarot, I think, really seduced me, as like someone who, I do think there's so much power to that, of saying like this means this, and like, so when that comes up, what are you going to do with it? You know, what does that mean to you? Like I think of it as sort of an interesting visual game of like hot potato. It's like, well, there you go, what are you going to do with it? And like,
yeah. Do you read reversals?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I do.
Cool.
I think more often than not, if a card's reversed, it doesn't mean you're like not getting that energy. Like I feel like people get very little kid, like, oh, but I wanted that, you know. I think it can literally be the meaning of the reversal, like in terms of the sun, for example. When the sun's reversed, I think it's often people don't really want to trust or believe the good times are here. But then I also think often you can be in the energy of the card that precedes it, and try that. See,
that's interesting. It's like a game of Uno there.
It could be really interesting. Like if, let's say, the 9 of Cups reverse comes up for somebody, them being in the energy of the 8 of Cups makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That they're still really sort of figuring out what they want to let go before they can really like.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So I do.
I've always, and this is going to transition to a little astro combo in a minute, but like,
because I have questions for you about that. So I'm glad.
I'm stoked. And this is another, I guess, Ryanism of like my tarot readings, but it depends on the deck. Some of them I'm like, I don't read reversals with, some I do. But when I look at reversals as a retrograde energy, that's probably my biggest astrological correspondence I will use, where like retrograde is a more inward focused energy. Like it's not this external event.
I agree. So like it's like the card hasn't like found its full potential. It's like, I think it can be often sort of like the cake's still in the oven. Like it just hasn't baked yet. Like, and it doesn't, like, people want to always look at tarot as something like they've done wrong or they're not doing enough or whatever. And it's like, nah, it might just be like, you have to sit tight. Like it just hasn't fully kicked in yet, you know, like,
you know, trust the timing.
Like things are not as like binary or finite as we want them to be. Like it's, you know, that's been a gift that tarot has given me, that like, you know, every card more or less has like a positive, negative, and a neutral. So you really have to check yourself if you're coming into it with like, this is positive or this is negative. It's like, no, it's all of it, you know, just like all of us, you know. So I don't think
like there's been these gifts. Has tarot given you anything that's not been a gift? Like, and I don't want to say like, you know, like, has there been like something where it was like, oh man,
It's hard. I mean, consistently looking. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do day in and day out, you know, like it sounds weird, but it's like it's hard on you physically, like just holding a lot of space for people, a lot of energy for people,
especially at events.
Yeah. Oh my God. Events. I've retired from events at this point. Like it would have to be something really, because I mean, I did them for like 7 years and just I can't scream over the DJ. Yeah. Like it's all of it, and it's the wasted people. You know, it's like I really don't mean to like it's like, you know what events also too gave me like a tremendous amount of knowledge. Like there's no better way to learn in a lot of ways too, of like to read for like 100 people in 2 hours, like
quickie. Yes.
Like will get you more experience in 2 years of private practice. Like it's unreal in that regard. Money. I mean, the first few years, to be honest, like I loved the work and I loved reading and I was so passionate, but like trying to build my client base and trying to get people also to value the work and stuff like that. Like a lot of the stuff that it like bums me out, or, you know, I wouldn't say it's tarot's fault, but it's like all the stuff that like comes with it or surrounds it. Like it made me get kind of defensive. Like I got tired of like
the stigmas.
Yeah, like the stigmas, like all of the stuff that comes with it. And I'm like, I just like want to do this thing. I don't understand why I'm like, I still have to like defend it or explain, you know, like
I feel this so hard with astrology too. Like honestly, I just went out for drinks with my little brother actually, and these like 3 dudes asked us to join their table, and so we like turn and join their table, and then we're all talking like, what do you do, what do you do, what do you do? I say I'm an astrologer. One guy, I'm not kidding you, sets his drink down and goes, all right, that's it, I need to go, I'm leaving.
Good,
just
bye.
Gets up and goes.
Bye.
And I was like, like are you kidding me? And on dating apps, like people, it's just
the
like,
amount of people on dating apps that have asked me, like, and do you support yourself doing that, or do you think that's real?
Are
and I'm
you
like,
shitting me?
No, and I'm like, I don't know, Chad, do you own your apartment being a marketing exec? Like I own mine, you know, like you want to go there? I'm like, let's do it. You know, like I'm
like, oh my God, you're an architect. I don't believe in that. I can't talk to you. Like it doesn't make sense.
I don't believe in buildings. You know, like there's no way that someone draws in and then someone builds it. I know. I think that job's made up.
Yeah,
like I'm like, on what planet? Like, unless you told me, I don't know, that you like were high up in the Republican Party or something, would I be like slam my drink down and be like, I have to go? Like I can't think of what someone could say they did for work, and I knew they like willingly did that would make me be that rude. You know, that's it too. People think that like it's so weird. I mean, granted, I have a very healthy ego, and I find there's something about this work where people put you on a pedestal and then devalue you. And that I would say has messed with me a bit. Like that has not been a gift of tarot, of constantly sort of having, I think, to like, there are so many people who think you're like the cool. I mean, like there's nothing more fun often for me than going to like as a woman going to a party and then saying I'm a tarot reader. I'm the most popular person after that, you know, but then they also want me to read then it like goes downhill really quickly of like not respecting it's my job, you know, like I'm not entertainment at this party. I'm a person just like you. So every card has an astrological correlation. But I think that's a little bit of bullshit. I don't understand how astrology got into the tarot chat. I'll tell you where I do understand it. Okay. I don't understand it in terms of like, I don't mind each sign having a major. That seems like a cool, you know, like that seems like an early collab done back in the day of like, hey, astrology, hey, tarot, let's join forces. Okay, we'll give each one of you a major. Like that I can get down with, fine. Like I don't read a lot into it, but whatever. it seems like, just like, I think astrology invites more of people's like covert narcissism of like wanting to say things about themselves or express things about themselves, that then starts creeping into tarot sometimes with this like need for it to be astrological as well, of like, then people are like, what's my birth card, or what's my da 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 da. I don't believe in a lot of that. I think that's modern stuff that's like been added on. And then when people are like, oh, well, Cancer is the Chariot and it's also the Four of Cups and the I don't mind it. Like I said, it being a major, like, okay, if we say Cancer is the Chariot, I don't fully get it. It doesn't, I am a Cancer. It doesn't make sense to me.
Up. No,
it doesn't add up because they're not related. It was just assigned to it. So that makes no sense to me. I don't resonate with it. I don't think it's true. I think someone sort of, I think Aleister Crowley, I'm not even sure when that got.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't
I've
really
tried to look
know.
into it.
Same. I've not been able to find out, or like, who was the authority of assigning this to the, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. However, I think that is different because you and I talked offline about this, and I do think it's important to talk about for people. All the people doing the collective readings.
Yeah.
Where I think astrology comes in, and with the people on YouTube, I've done them as well. I've done tarot scopes. Well, that's what they are. They're tarot scopes, or that's what people are calling them. So it's either a collective reading or reading for the collective, or a tarot scope. I think, you know, why people started doing that. I don't think they're really saying this is an astrological reading, number one. It's just a way, I think, of grouping people, you know, and creating some distillation in pairing it with another system people understand. If you just did a card pull for the collective, that's also just going to be boring and people aren't going to know what's up. I think it's a way of making it interesting, and say, because if you did like all brunettes or whatever, like people can dismiss that. But I think it's a way they're saying, like, you know, this system, you know, your sun sign, you know, like you maybe don't know tarot, but this is a way I can make this familiar to you. And like, to my earlier point of like, I think it's really important to know what question you're asking. I think it's also a way to then really know, like, okay, I am, you know, like when I've done them, I said, you know, what's in the best and highest for, you know, the Aries and Aries rising of my, you know, Instagram followers. Like I try to narrow it down as much as I can, but no, it has nothing to do with astrology.
No, I mean, like even in the most basic of senses, like honestly, the sun card does correlate to Leo, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, but then the moon card.
No, it's strength. No,
I mean strength is Leo too, but isn't the sun card also Leo?
No, it's
what is
strength.
The sun card then?
Nobody. It didn't get assigned.
Well, then it's like, what the hell is going on here? Because the sun rules Leo astrologically. Moon rules Cancer. So why is the moon Pisces?
Yeah,
moon likes Pisces, but I mean, like, I don't. It just it has never added up to me. I know that they are like you know, the Venus symbol on like I mean, like, so sometimes I'm seeing these things, but those symbols even predate like
I
the
think
meanings
it's
we
like
put to it.
You have to like delete your like, you know, like I think
knowledge
that's what's
of it.
Yeah, it's like you have to like delete like your real brain, you know, like it's like, because I do think
you got to delete your real brain.
Yeah, you're like, you know, it was sort of like, you know, like when friends, and I'm sure, I mean, maybe Ryan, at this point, this isn't happening to you anymore, but you know, like when friends are like, I saw like Pluto's going retrograde and I'm scared. And you're like, what are you scared of?
I know.
Like, tell me specifically. Like, I mean, my one friend, I was like a huge bitch to about it. Oh, it was Melissa, you know, because I was like, you don't even have your birth chart. Like, you don't even know, like, you don't even know where it's transiting. Because I was like, stop the madness. Like, I can't, I was like, you're not allowed to consume like astrology if you're always just going to be fearful.
I know.
Like, I'm not having it, you know?
That's what those creators do to get, they put that stuff out there so they can get likes and views.
That's
and
all
then,
it is.
you know, business.
Yeah.
Like, I think there is a lot of fear mongering. And I think there's a lot of people who are naturally talented, and something like astrology or tarot or whatever, this makes them feel powerful. And it's a place where they're getting good feedback. I think we should all be mindful that we're juicing up a 22-year-old just because they seem to like know a thing or two. I'm like, I mean, traditionally, like their brain's not even done forming, you know? So like, I'm not saying that young people don't have things to offer or aren't wise in their own ways. They absolutely are, you know? But it's like, we're all kind of taking advantage of like this is the Wild West in some ways, and then we're also all harmed and annoyed by that this is the Wild West, you know. And it's like, I mean, I'm 42 years old. Would I go to a 22-year-old reader? No. What is a 22-year-old going to tell me? Like, I've made that mistake. I went to like a 23-year-old at one point because I was like, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of old and in my ways. She was like, have you thought of like teaching? And I was like, yeah, I've done that. I'm burnt out from it. Next. And she was like, oh, it's like, exactly, because you don't have the life experience, which is fair. Like, you're 22. Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I have a rule of not getting readings from people who haven't passed their Saturn return now. For some reason, there's just like, that is a moment where you will mature and life, I don't care how much life you've lived prior to the age of like 29. Life can take a drastic turn at that Saturn return. So like I've only booked a couple readings. One I booked for my mom, one I booked for myself. Both were from actually like really big, well-known, respected people, astrologers, and both of them were the most underwhelming thing ever. Like I got it from my mom even to try and convince her of like the astrology's efficacy, and was like, that was like my entryway of telling her I'm going into this, mom. And it was just like awful. It was a terrible reading, and this person gets so much acclaim, and it's just like,
you're gonna have to tell me who this was.
I will happily, because I know you know who they are.
I'm like, I'm sure I do, and I'm like, I gotta know. That's also what I'm like, it's been a way. I mean, I used to be a really bad gossip, and now I would say I'm better. I mean, I've worked on it. But yeah, that's a fun aspect of doing all this too, getting to know everybody's secrets and stuff, you know, and
who's legit and who's not.
Well, that too. I mean, unfortunately, has a bit of a whisper network, but I just like to know everybody's secrets.
I know. Well, okay, this has been so freaking enlightening, so fun. We went into numerous conversations, I feel like. And I want to circle back real fast. You are in your midlife crisis.
I am. Oh, good.
Chart. It's the Uranus opposition. So Uranus is 180 degrees opposed from where it was when you were born. It's actually like 3 degrees away from it, and now Uranus just turned retrograde, so it's going to be moving back. So, but when it moves forward again, you're going to have your exact opposition. I hope it's fine. I'm just spilling this.
I don't mind.
It'll be at the end of June 2023. So June 27th, it's exact. That's a really liberating moment, though. Uranus really wants to free you up, and you find this like need to individuate.
It feels that way. Like I feel it's weird. It feels it's funny when Uranus stuff has happened for me in the past. It has been very almost like electric. Like it's been this. I've talked to you about it. Like I thought something was something else, and Anna Ortley was like, nah, it was Uranus. Like not being an astrologer was like, oh, like I read this, I thought it was that, and she's like, no, it was this. And I started paying more attention to Uranus because it seems to be something that like I do clock, like, even if I don't know that's what it is, it seems to be a planet that when it's stirred up for me, I do notice. And so, yeah, I'd started noticing a couple months ago, just like how much I'm like that thing I've always done. No, you know, like that way I've always been. No, like it is so much individuating stuff. And I'm like, I'm in my 40s. Like, who's oppressing me? Like I'm a full adult, you know, but it's like, I mean, and I've been in therapy a long ass time and working on myself a long ass time. And it's been really illuminating how much like you can always change. You can always make different decisions.
Free will
always.
Yeah, like, yes, it doesn't matter where you are in life.
Yeah. And it doesn't always seem easy. You don't always have the money or what. Like, I get it. I'm not trying to toxic positivity anybody, but I think what this, you know, like Uranus, like what it has stirred up for me is that of like, what is it you need? Like, as an individual, like, Like, what is the stuff that makes you feel kind of electric? It's like kind of, you know, like it's just been interesting. Like, I love Mystic Medusa, and I do her. I'm a mega member, and I do get my daily thing with her. And I've been like noticing that, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to like, I don't have any answers yet, but I'm like trying to like follow the current, you know, like I'm trying to stay where the electricity is, just to see what does it take me to.
That's amazing. I think the biggest mistake people make at the Uranus opposition, I don't even like calling it a midlife crisis, terrible name, but like is that you kind of get this feeling all of a sudden, like, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to have time again in my life. And it's like, you will always have time. You wake up every day. You can always make the new decision every day, but go with those urges too. Like I have this one client who went through it, I would say like a year ago now. And, you know, she's married, has multiple kids, great freaking life, like so respected, great job. And she just needed a huge change. And so all of a sudden she had this urge, I'm going to wake up every freaking morning before my family's up, and I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to go surfing. I'm going to learn how to surf.
That's awesome.
Isn't that incredible? Like what a different way to break away out of your mold in life and experience that.
Like set fire to her life.
I think
also
that's the big problem usually.
Yeah. Like I think, and I mean, I started feeling this way probably. It's funny, Ryan. I thought about the reading I did with you, because when I had done the reading with you, like I did really want to travel, and I'd reconnect with an old friend and all that stuff. And you were like, you know, and I was like, you know, but like, whatever, you know, but also was like, nothing's, you know, like nothing's on the books, like nothing, you know? So I was like, it doesn't really matter, like whatever. And, you know, like, of course we all want to travel, but like, you know, it's like still like, you were right. And, it finally hit me. Like I've always wanted to go to Puglia in Italy. And it finally hit me, like, you've been saying that for years. Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Just go, you know? And it was this huge thing of like really kind of remembering, like, we have to give ourselves permission. Like no one's going to call you up and be like, girl, I think you should treat yourself. Like, you know, no one is like, the call has to come from inside. But like that to me is spirituality. Like that to me is like how it plays out in real life. It's like not the sexy moments. It's not finding the soulmate. It's like, that's not it. It's the communing with yourself. It's going, I need this, and giving it to yourself and knowing you deserve it. Like you know, or like that it's enough. It's not even about deserving it. That it's just like an act that you're allowed to do, you know?
I got goosebumps. So I think we need to like end it there.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Where can they book with you? Are you accepting clients?
Find me on the internet at annatonk.com. You can find me on Instagram at annatonk.com, and you can listen to my podcast, How to Be Human.
And all of these links will be in show notes in the description on YouTube. Wherever you're listening to this, you should be able to see show notes. But please do book Anna up and please check out How to Be Human. That is an incredible podcast. I subscribe and auto download every episode. It's so good. Okay, amazing. Book Anna up. If you're interested in booking with myself or Megan, you can find our respective info at clairannoyance.com. That's CLAIR annoyance.com. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, Anna, thank you so much. This has been, I mean, your podcast is amazing. You are incredible, and we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you. And Ryan, as you know, since we've met, been obsessed with you. So thank you for having me.
Okay, later.
Bye. Bye.